Okay, we're live. Greetings, folks. Greetings. Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. Today's the 30th of December, 2025, getting close to 2026. Isn't that something? And you will notice there's a little bit of a change. I got this picture. This picture has been here for a while. It was in a frame with glass on it. Someone gave it to me way back. And Jill put it in a frame for me for Christmas again. So I figured I'd hang it up behind. There's a lot of significance to that picture. Well, it's kind of strange. This is Big Mama. That's what we call her, Big Mama. And she was the pig that kicked off the whole feral swine deal. And those are her little offspringies right there. Yep. So I don't know who took that picture, but wound up putting it in a frame and sending it to me. That was a nice gesture. It's Tuesday. It's kind of hard to keep track of things around here because we've got my two sons that are both in the Air Force are home. And so, things are a little bit different. And we just did Christmas last week. That would have been last, I don't know, whatever day it was. And so everything's kind of, not normal the way it normally is. But today was as normal as it gets, except that it was down around 15 degrees and snowing and blowing today. Pretty good, too. Not as bad as yesterday, though. Yesterday, you may have heard, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of you were worried about me, that we've just gone through a bomb cyclone. No joke. That's what they're calling it. Bomb cyclone. Look at that handlebar mustache. And, these days, though, it seems like everything that is coming, they tell you, oh, this is going to be the end of the world. So everybody's going to the store and buying stuff. And, if the kids were in school, I'm sure they would have been off. It was respectable. I mean, yesterday was kind of a day where we haven't had a day like that in a long time, where I spent most of the day indoors. I did what I had to outside, and then I was indoors the rest of the time. May get some comments on this shirt. I haven't worn this one in a long time. This is one that Joel got me a couple years ago. It's a Carhartt type shirt, and it's insulated on the inside. And I got a new hoodie for Christmas. This is also a Carhartt, and it zips up. It's kind of nice. Actually, my old one is really worn out, so this one's really nice to have. Because it's cold out there now. I think it's probably less than 15. Let's see. I'm sure you don't really care that much, but that's actually 16. But got the milking done this morning, got all the feeding done, and then I decided that I was going to take Jill into town on the milk run. Oh, Honey Caffeine is with us. Wow, it's been a long time. Hello, I normally am teaching, so I miss your live stream. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. You too. Honey Caffeine, we go way back. She brought me some honey locust trees 5 years ago, I think, in the middle of winter. And that next spring, we put them all in. And I see her about once a year. She comes up and buys her load of pastured poultry. And we get to take her out and show her the trees. Some of them are pretty good size now. Yeah, honey locust trees. Yep. Some of them have thorns. Some of them don't. And some of them are probably up around 10 feet tall now. Really nice little tree. Today, I have something to talk about because I think that many people me included, after the holidays, and then it's just the grind of of winter sets in, and it can be difficult. It can be difficult. So here's a little trick that I have found that helps with combating that difficulty. And I suppose you would have it if you worked at a job in town too, and you're having to go out and scrape the windshield in the morning and take, a half an hour extra time to get to work because of the weather and things like that. So I reckon anybody would deal with it, the winter blues. But going into it with this this technique that I've developed, I think it can help. It helps me. It helps me a lot. So let's just take yesterday, for instance. Got up, it's snowing, it's blowing, bomb, cyclone. Really, the wind was going sideways, and it was at a really good clip. And we had ice the night before. We had rain, and it got on the trees, and we had a lot of damage on our trees here, especially the big tree right near the butcher shop. We had some limbs come down that were like this big around and didn't hit anything. Very fortunate that it didn't hit anything. It, fell on both sides of the swing set. And if it had hit the swing set, it would have been devastating. The rope swing, it broke off just past the rope swing. So all we have to do is, it didn't break all the way off. It just broke down. There was another limb that was up much higher that broke, and it was really big. We were in the house and we heard it hit the ground. And I thought, could have gone out there and found it right on the shop, and that would have been a bad deal. But it didn't. So, and yesterday, looking at that all day and seeing all the damage to the tree, and knowing how much work it is to get that cleared off. I mean, there's probably 2 tons of wood on the ground right now that's going to have to be cleaned up. And being as miserable as it was out yesterday, I did not stay out very much yesterday. I fed the cows. I fed the pigs. I really don't like starting equipment when it's real cold like that because it's real tough on it. So I just took my time, plugged it in, let it get nice and warm for about a half an hour, and then got a good start on it and got it done. And then came in the house. And it was just as well because the boys were here, and we didn't lose power. They did all around us, but we didn't. And so that was nice. And so we just kind of sat in the house, and they played cards, and I listened to them talk and stuff. And then they decided, it calmed down in the evening, so they decided they were going to go into town and see a movie, right? Which is something that me and Jill never do, but they decided they were going to do it. So me and Jill had a little bit of time here to do whatever we wanted to do. And what did we think about doing? Take a guess. It's like 5 o'clock at night. It's totally dark out. Hey, you want to go for a cold plunge? And Jill was like, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. So I went out and broke the ice. It was only 3/4 of an inch thick. Broke the ice. And then we went and got our little swimsuits on and went out there and took a plunge in the evening, which we don't usually do. We usually do it in the morning. But that yesterday morning, we didn't because it was so nasty out. And you think, well, what do you care? You're going to be dunking down in ice cold water with ice all around you. What do you care if it's blowing sideways? It just didn't feel like the thing to do. Plus, we had, all the kids, not all the kids here, but my 2 youngest boys are home. And then my 2 sons, Sam and Keith, that are in the service are home. So everybody got up and we just sat around the wood stove and drank coffee and yucked it up a little bit. So nobody felt like going cold plunging, so we didn't. But me and Jill did that last night, and it was really nice. Then came in, stood by the wood stove, and then it was just me and her home. So she cooked us up some good stuff and watched a documentary. And what we watched the documentary. It was actually very good. It was on Prime Video, and it's about General Grant, the vaunted general of the Union Army. And it was quite good. It was quite good. I get part 3 to watch tonight. Looking forward to it. So anyway, yeah, I can see how, it doesn't really happen to me anymore because I know it's coming. You get a day like yesterday and you say, oh, this sucks. I should be doing something else. Excuse me. But it doesn't really happen to me anymore like it used to, because I can look at the countryside, I can look at the farm, and in my mind's eye, I can see it in the spring, and I can see it in the summer, I can see it in the fall. And conversely, in the spring, I'll be out there and I'll just be like, wow, you can just stand there and feel it course through you. It's just beautiful. The smells, the sounds, just the safety and the solitude of it. It just goes right through you. And I can think to myself, doesn't look like this in February. It's no man's land in February. You see like a lawn chair that's sitting out and it's just like covered with snow and, wind going sideways and stuff. It's no man's land. You just can't spend much time out there, at least not and enjoy yourself. Like there's a lot of duties that we have to do, bedding the animals and feeding and stuff, where you have to be there. And it's pretty tough. It can be pretty tough. Today when I fed, it was blowing. It was blowing, not snowing. It is snowing now. And so what I did is I put on my overalls, and then I put on, pretty good array of clothes. And then I have a hood that goes up and a hat that goes over it. And then I cover my face like this. And now that I wear glasses, they're actually pretty handy because they block the wind. I probably need to get those little side protectors on here, like I see guys that work in factories wear all the time. They really help, but really nice, really good. So once I got all bundled up like that and I had the tractor started, I decided, oh, well, I think I'll do this. I think I'll do this. I think I'll do this. So I was out for quite a while. It's out till 3. And then we had to load up the milk to take into town, and Jill had a few errands to run. So where the roads were really bad, I said, why don't we take the truck and I'll go with you and we can stop and get a cup of coffee and enjoy ourselves a little bit, because the boys had gone. They went to a place where they have rock climbing. And then after that, they were going to go to jiu-jitsu and do all that. So it is so comforting when my older boys come home, and then my younger boys just go right to them, and then they go and they do things, good things, not bad things. They do good things. So it gives me a good break, and it gives the boys a good break from me too, which is important. Let's see. I'm seeing some sort of reflection in that. Oh, it's over here. What is that a reflection of? Oh, I see. That tripod. See it? All right. Well, what I want to talk about today, and this ain't going to be very long unless you guys want to chime in and get me going, was gratitude. Gratitude. Or gratefulness. Gratefulness, I guess. Gratitude. So I am able to be in the middle of a task. Like take, for instance, today. I had to milk today. Today's my day. And my hired man, he's the primary. So he's the one actually hooking up the cows. He's got to put the feed in the feeders and get the cows in and stuff. I run the water. I have to get the bottles ready. I have to fill the bottles and then get them placarded and then put where they go, put the order together to go out into town or whoever's picking up. So work as a team, and it's a good process because nobody has to do the whole thing. And so we finish up in a timely manner, and then I can put him on something else that needs to be done, and then I can do what I need to do. So it's a really good deal. The boys left early to go on their mountain climbing expedition, and I was standing in the milk house, and it was pretty cold in there. It's pretty cold. It was above freezing, still pretty cold. My shirt was untucked, and I could feel it, whistling up my back, and my hands were cold, and it's not something you would say, hey, let's go do this for a date, for instance. You wouldn't do that. And it started to creep into me when I looked out the window and I could see, it's just gray outside. Everything's covered with snow and ice, so much ice. Wow, walking down the driveway, it's totally treacherous if you're not prepared for it. And it started to creep in that, this, and before I even say it to myself, I say, wait 1 minute, mister. Let's just replay the tape 1 year from about this time, about Christmas time. Last year at Christmas, we had just run the water into the milk house. Maybe we ran it in there maybe in November, right? So we had just gotten water in there, just gotten the hot water heated up. Prior to that, we had to take the milk across the driveway into the old butcher shop, which is now the new kitchen, and fill the jars in there and then wash all the equipment in there. And every time you got a full bucket of milk, you had to walk across the driveway. And then the guy that's milking had to wait. And then you have to bring it back and put it all back together again and then hook it onto another cow. And that seemed like a real hassle. But the year before that, it was even worse. It was even worse. It was even more difficult. So I had the ability to say, wait a minute, how was it last year at this time? Where this year, if my hands get cold, I actually have a heater in there, thanks to Keith Sutton, that scrounged a heater and then he gave it to me or traded it to me. I got a heater in there. So if my hands get cold, I can walk over to the heater, just warm my hands up, And that might seem like, oh, this sucks. My hands are cold. No, I got a heater in here. I actually had my jacket off. I was working in just my my sweatshirt, right? And in that moment, you got to do this. You got to do this, though. In that moment, I stopped right where I was, and I just looked around at what we had built in there, intimately knowing all the work that went into insulating that building, rebuilding the walls, installing windows, building a ceiling, insulating that, and then covering it all with a sheet metal skin. A lot of work. Running the electricity in there, running the water in there, installing the hot water heater, installing the drains, going out to the drain field, pouring the concrete. It's a lot of work. And I sat there and I ran through it all. I looked at the concrete and I looked at the lines in the concrete, the imperfections, and remembered when I was floating that. I was the one that bull floated it. And at one point when I was bull floating, and I said, you get this streak of perfectionism that goes through, like, oh, I can get it a little bit better. And then finally I said, hell with this. We're going to be walking on this. In a year, we won't even think about it, And I'm looking at the creases that I left. But it does go down to the drains, so that's pretty nice. And then I started looking at all the clean bottles on the shelf that had just come out of the dishwasher that we installed earlier this year. Scrounged, of course. Got it off Facebook Marketplace for like $100. Nice Bosch type one that the guy said it leaks. Doesn't matter if it leaks. You know, it's on concrete there with a drain in the middle of the floor, and it doesn't leak for us, but it did for him. And I stopped and I remembered all that stuff, and I was really grateful. I thought about how grateful I was that I'm working in this environment, and all of that work is behind me. I don't have to do it again. Not that it was uncomfortable to do or hard to do, or let's see, what's the word I'm looking for? A drag to do. It wasn't, because I liked the work. But I'm just grateful that it's done. And the next thing that came into my mind is, wait till I have a washer and dryer in here, because I need a washer and dryer for my milk house so we can wash the cleaning rags and the aprons and all that stuff. I don't have it yet. I just haven't had the time to look at Facebook Marketplace. But while I'm thinking of it, if anybody needs a milking assembly, a milk pot, they call it, with the pulsator on it and the cloth, I will trade it to you for a washer and dryer. If I can get a dryer that is propane, that would be even better, because I don't want to put any more load on my electric system down there. I'll get it. I'll find it eventually. It's not that big a deal right now. But that's where my mind went as soon as I got grateful. Instead of, this is a drag doing this, there becomes an automatic shift to the next thing that we do to make it even slicker, even better, you know. And then I think we have this door down there, and it's got white steel on it, flat white steel, and I use it for a place to write on there things that I want to remember. And so I happen to catch that out of the corner of my eye, and I see 3 names on there. I see Daisy, Stripe, and Molly. And they're all due to calf this month, this coming month, January. And then I started thinking about that. Like, 3 new calves. And then I think, and Jill's got a waiting list of people who want our milk. And now we have this beautiful facility that we can handle 30 gallons of milk flowing through here a day, you know, getting it bottled. And we have this cool system where people are kind of working with us. I don't like to use the word trained, but they are trained like trainees. Not like training a puppy, but they're savvy to our process of what we're doing. You know, today's milk to be distributed today, because tomorrow we're going to get more milk, and we don't want to store it. You know, you don't want to keep it. You want it to flow to the person who wants it. And so I started thinking about that, and I started thinking, wow, when we have all these people in Cadillac that we're going to go see today, that's the big town, the big city, it's 20 minutes from us or 20 miles from us. And they're going to be waiting in the parking lot for us when we get there. And they're going to come over and give us their empty bottles, and we're going to give them full bottles, and they're going to say, thank you very much. And they're going to go on their way. So that entire shift was because of gratitude. And you don't have to be grateful to yourself necessarily. You can be grateful to somebody that you've never even met. And I have a great example. I was listening to a podcast I might as well tell you what it is. It's called Stuff of Life. Stuff of Life. It's on YouTube. Highly recommend. They interview veterans, and they start with, well, where were you born and all this stuff. And the guy that they were interviewing that we listened to on the way back from Cadillac, he was born in Ohio and he was a farm kid. And he was telling about, yeah, my dad died when I was 6 and da 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 da. And he was saying that his brother took over the farm and he didn't, he used a plow that went quite deep, and people thought that he was going too deep and he was going to hit the tiles out there. And if you don't know what tiling is, it's when they dig furrows and then they put clay, sections of clay pipe in there, and the water runs into it and it drains the field off so you can farm it. Otherwise, the field would just be a muddy mess. And we have a field that's probably 15 acres down on the back 40, it's called. So it's in the back of our property. And if you look at it with a drone shot, you look down and you can actually see the difference in the soil, or actually in the grass growth, because of the tiles that they put in. And I am so grateful that that was done. And it wasn't done by me. It was done by a man that I've never met, that settled this property, pulled the stumps, tiled the fields. He did all the work, built this house. His name was Ben Brinks. I live on the Brinks Road, right? And he did that about 1900. And I was just thinking how grateful I am for the work that he did. And he's long gone from this world. I think he died in the 50s. So gratitude. And that can be helpful in a lot of different ways. I have found that sometimes, if somebody is getting under my skin, like maybe I'm spending too much time with, a certain person, whatever, and they're starting to bug you, think about something nice that they've gone out of their way to do for you. And it's really easy to do this with a wife. You guys know what I'm talking about. Over something, like whatever, you're just getting bugged by something. And then think, she made me dinner last night. I was sitting watching TV and she brought dinner in to me. How nice was that? And when I switch it like that and I say, how grateful I am that you did that for me, then all the little complaints, all the little all of the wambulance, the complaining, it just kind of dissolves. It's almost like when you see, I'm thinking of that Dawn commercial, where they put Dawn in hot water and then they drip grease into it from a saucepan or something, and then drip it in and it just goes like that. It just dissolves. It's sort of like that. Worked for me. It works in hot weather. It works in cold weather. It works on maintenance problems, like when you have a well that stops pumping water. You get up in the morning and you flush the toilet. I told you about that a couple weeks ago. Flush the toilet and it doesn't refill. That's a problem. It's still dark out. You don't have any water. Yeah, that's a problem. And you can be grateful. You can say, well, at least it flushed once. No. I'm actually grateful that I've had problems with my well, because what does a guy like me know about a well? Just out of the service. What do I know about wells? I don't know anything about wells. All I know is you turn the faucet and water comes out. That's all I know. I'm not a plumber, but I am now, because we have a well here, and it was a short time after we lived here. Oh boy. that's a whole nother story. The original well is comes up right by the sink. Like from the sink, if you go directly down, that's where the original well is. So there was a pipe that came up right to the sink, and you used to pump the water up there. When we got here, there was an electric motor on there, so it pulled it up and then it plumbed it into the house, and there was pretty crude plumbing to the bathroom and the sink. That was it. There's not much. It's just a farmhouse. And I suppose to Ben, when he installed that, if Ben did, I don't know, because his grandson took this over in, I think, 59, maybe. He took it over. Was it his grandson or was it his son? It was his son took it over. And he would have farmed it until the grandson took it over. And the grandson never farmed it. He just lived here and worked in town. Those are during the war years. So he never farmed it. So it was let go for a long time. But anyway, when we first moved here, the well pooched. And so to get water out of it, we couldn't get water out of it. And it was just a sand point. If you know what that is, it's a 1.25 inch well that's driven. And it's got a point on the end, and it's got a screen on it. And that screen will occasionally just crust up, and then you're not getting water out of it. The easy fix on it is to pour down muriatic acid and let it sit for a couple days, and then it'll work quick as a whistle. But I didn't know that. So I pulled it up, and then I ruined it by pulling it up. And so then I got another one and put another one down, and didn't know what I was doing, and it didn't work. And so I wound up getting another one. I pulled that one up and ruined that one when I pulled it up. And I got another one and put it down. So they were like 6-foot sections of pipe, and you had to slam them down with a driver. Yeah, it was quite a project. Took a couple days. Yep, no water in the house for a couple days. That's happened a few times. 1 year, you want to talk about no water in the house. It was when that well, finally the water tested high in nitrates. And Jill decided that she didn't want to use that one anymore. So we had another well drilled, and they went to 60 feet, I think, and got really good water, but it's quite a ways from the house. And we got it as far as the barn, and then we had to branch off of the barn and bring it up to the house. And that was quite a project. And when I brought it into the house, I had to drill a hole through the foundation. And I drilled it down about 3 feet. I thought, that's low enough. That's not going to freeze. But it was right under the eave. So we had a thaw in March, and all that water came down off the eave right there. And it must have soaked down into the soil around that pipe. Just a piece of PVC pipe. And then it got cold. And the cold followed it down and froze it. So we had no water in the house. And it was like that for nearly a month. So what did we have to do? We had to, every morning, we had to take a hose out to the butcher shop. And then I made a way that we could plug it in under the house and then get it turned on. So it was kind of a process to get water to the house. And some days we just said, oh, the heck with it. We don't need water at the house. We'll just go to the butcher shop if we need water. But I still have it hooked in. It's still there if I ever had to hook it up again. Hopefully it doesn't happen, because I've protected it under the eave. I put a piece of sheet metal so the water runs far off and disperses, so it doesn't. Anyway, yeah, but those things give you perspective, and I can be grateful a lot. I can really be grateful a lot. Like I'm sitting here and I have an electric light and I flip this switch, on it comes. Now, we have in Michigan, we have like 36,000 people that have no power right now because the ice storm was so bad. All around me, they're out, but our little stretch is on. So I have electricity when no one else does. And I am grateful. I am grateful that I have electricity because I have electricity, so I have running water. I have running water so the toilet flushes. I can get a drink of water if I want one, and so on and so on. Watering I have 10 milk cows. They each drink 10 gallons of water a day. If I have to carry that up from the pond, I can carry 2 5-gallon buckets. I'm making 5 trips. I'd probably use the tractor, and I would be grateful that I have a tractor, boys. I would be grateful. And I'm grateful I have a pond too as a backup. I am grateful, although I don't want to use it for the milk cows. I'm just grateful that the steers can drink out of it, so I don't have to bring water down to them. They have a water spigot down there, but I don't use it because I have a pond. They can drink out of it, and they do fine with it. So that trick is and I think you should. What I would recommend as a tool in your toolbox for homesteading, that's one of the things, is a sense of gratefulness for what you got going, not for what you don't. Not for what you don't. Because you wouldn't be grateful for something that you don't have. And you know what else? Even sometimes think on something that you wanted to do, or maybe people that and then all of a sudden they don't want to hang out with you, relationships type thing. And at first you can be kind of sad about that, or you can be grateful. And I can always think of a reason why, if there's a greater being involved here that says, no, I'm taking them out of your life. Yeah, you might be sad about it, but I care about you, so I'm taking them out of your life. That was your doing that they're in your life, not mine. And when I think about it that way, I think, that's probably a good thing. That I don't know them anymore. Probably a good thing. And just take it as it comes. And as soon as you do that, you say, okay, well, now the door is open for the next thing. What is the next thing? The next exciting thing, the next cool thing, the next rad group of, like my son Joe says, rad. The next rad people that you're going to meet. Radical, right? So that gratitude, that sense of gratitude is so important. Grateful for your health, right? If you got a sore foot, the world sucks, I can tell you. My foot's doing way better than it was. Way, way better. Way better. And it's, I think the last time we talked about this, I don't know if I shared this with you, but I was talking to you about DMSO and how it healed Cece, our cow Cece. And I had a customer here. He's picking up some pigs. He's a chiropractor down in Grand Rapids. And I guess he's very successful. He's a real sharp guy. Me and him have been friends for quite a while. We like to talk about things. Every time he comes here, it's like, clear the decks because we're going to probably be talking for a couple hours. And I went to say to him, hey, have you ever heard of DMSO? And he kind of, well, yeah, he kind of, and I could see that I don't think I'm going to make an impact with this. And he noticed I had taken my boot off. We were sitting down in the store, the wood stove's going, and drinking a cup of coffee. And I had my boot off. And I told him what had happened. And I said, yeah, but I'm using this DMSO now, and it's like a lot better. I think I'm on my way to a total healing. And he says, let me see your foot. So I put my foot up on his leg, and he pushes his thumbs into the ball of my foot, and then he cricks it back like this, and he says, oh, this is not working at all. You got a tendon problem here. And he does a couple other things, and then he says, all right, point your toes up at your left knee. And so I do. And he's like, watch, I can push this down, no problem. And then he does an adjustment. He says, do it again. And he couldn't push it down at all. So he said, you've just got an alignment problem here that could have been caused by 50 different things, but you do have a tendon problem. So you're going to need to start getting some magnesium going. Oh, okay. Well, so I'm so grateful that information came. And again, what does it cause in me? It causes, well, I wonder what else is out there that I don't know about. Is this just a magnesium deficiency? Am I in a magnesium deficient environment here? Are my animals in a magnesium deficient environment? We need to look into this. So, we have the internet. There's so much information on there. Most of it's good if you're looking for it. It seems like when somebody's coming to you with information, they're trying to sell you something. It might not be good. It might be good. But anyway, so yeah, I got some vitamins that he recommended that Jill ordered, and they came yesterday, and I took my first dose yesterday, took my second dose today. And, I think we're going to be fine. I'm walking on it the way it was designed to be walked on. I hate the thought of having to hobble around on a sore foot. Anyway, there's my message for today, gratefulness. Let's see what you guys got to say. Okay. Whoa, a lot of people talking here. Hildy's with us. Happy New Year's for tomorrow night. Yeah, it's snowing here too. Hi, everyone. Did find your dogs? Yes, we did. Those stupid dogs. There's a hole in the fence on the back 40, and they found their way down there, and they went through the hole in the fence. Totally my fault. I take full responsibility for it. They're easy to contain this side of the back 40 because there's a gate they have to go through, and all I have to do is put a strand of wire across there, and they think it's electric, and they take one look at it, and they won't go within 3 feet of it. And that strand came down because people were riding through their motorcycles and stuff, and then the dogs they never went down there, but they did the other day. It was the day after Christmas. I come out, and it's kind of quiet out here. Nobody's greeting me as I come down the driveway. And Louie and Oscar are gone. And they were gone overnight. And get this, I was kind of busy that day, and usually they just get found. We drive the roads and we'll find them. And I was thinking, okay, well, I'll go in an hour and then I'll find them. I'll go in another hour and I'll find them. Jim will go, he'll find them. Well, it got to be dark. We didn't find them. So then I thought, I should have put this on Facebook that I'm looking for them. So I put it on Saturday night, and immediately my neighbor says, oh, Jerry Quist said he saw them this morning. He's my neighbor, well, it's a mile or two away. So I drove up to his house. He said, well, that was this morning I saw him, but they've been cruising around. I'm surprised you didn't see him. And so I couldn't find him. And it was dark. It was 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock. And so we just went to bed figuring, well, we'll see what happens. And I was actually grateful that we live where we live because, you know, if we lived in like Springfield, Ohio, I'd be a little concerned, if you know what I mean. But we don't. So I figured they'll be okay. They'll hole up someplace during the night. Well, the next day, first thing, I'm out looking for them. And I made my circle bigger and bigger. And finally, a friend of mine calls me and says, so-and-so has your dogs. He's over by the Falmouth Dam. And so then I call him. He says, yeah, I got him. It was a close one. I said, what happened? He said, well, the little one went out on the ice and went through the ice. And he was in the water for 20 minutes at least, couldn't get himself out. And then he started just yelping and howling. And that's how they heard him. And they couldn't get to him either. And finally, the guy's wife got in a kayak and just pushed herself out onto the ice with a rope tied to the kayak. And like, all the men were on the shore. And she just grabbed a hold of him and said, okay, pull me in. And pulled him up on the ice. And then they got him in the garage. And then I went and got him. And like she literally risked her life for my dog. And yeah, we got him home and got him situated with their collars and got the fence back up, the decoy fence, and all is well. All is well now. So that's what Hildy's. So Hildy's way over in Wisconsin, but heard that my dogs were missing. And it's funny because people say, oh, man, I'm glad you found them. I was just really concerned. All right, so let's see. Honey, normally I'm teaching. All right, Honey, get to listen in live. I'm about done, so if you want to go to bed, you can. We are enjoying the chickens, says Honey. Good. Hildy says, my husband, Gary, has kidney failure, so he has to go to dialysis 3 times a week. Wow. Keith says, you will pray for Gary. Good, Keith. Keith's always the prayer warrior. Jumps right in there and prays for people. I'm probably still walking this planet because Keith prays for me. Not going to Florida anymore, says Hildy. Oh, wow. Usually when you get into senior status, that's when you stay in Florida. But you're going to stay in Wisconsin. Ooh. And Jill says, good to hear you're all here tonight. Hope you have a great new year. Hey, yeah. Hildy says it's a lot of work taking care of him. Gee, that's tough. And she says, I take good care of myself. Thank you for your concern. Well, and yes, I did find my dogs. Honey says, I will be more grateful when we move and don't have to pay for water from the city. Yeah, I'm grateful. I don't have to pay for it. I have more water than I know what to do with. But I'm grateful for it too. What can I do with it then? You know, what can I do with all this water? I'll dig a pond. You know, when you think about it, we live in 4 seasons, and a lot of people don't like the winter around here. There's a lot of people who pull stakes and go to like Arizona. Florida is a big one from here, or from New England. It's called Florida. But I'm actually grateful for the winter here because it gives you perspective. I happened to, when we were delivering milk, I happened to be sitting there, and on my feed up comes a video of me. And I was talking about biochar, and it was in the summertime. And me and Jill just sat there and watched it because we could watch, you know, the sun was just coming up, green grass. You know, I'm out there in just shirt sleeves and stuff. And it's like, oh boy, that will be good. But I'm actually grateful for the cold. I am. Honey says, is the chicken and duck setup going with the snow and cold winds? Well, we don't do chickens in the wintertime. No, that's just a seasonal crop. That's summertime only, spring and summer, maybe a little in the fall, right? The only thing I got going right now is egg layers, so laying hens. And then I have geese, which is new. It's new here. I'm going to probably talk about that one of these days. The ghost says, make beer. No, I know where that would go. I mean, it might work for you, but it doesn't work for me because I would just probably say, I'm just going to make beer all the time. I'll just make beer. Oh, I got too much beer. I know. Drink it then. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm Irish. Doesn't work. Honey says, I live in 5 seasons: summer, fall, winter, mud, and spring. Well, Hildy's saying she likes it better in Wisconsin than Florida. You know, Florida's not all it's cracked up to be. I used to have to go on deployments down there on trainers. I got bit by a scorpion in Florida, and I never even got to see the thing. It bit me on my pinky, probably in my sleeping bag when I was sleeping at night. And my hand swelled up all tight, went numb. But I was grateful. I was grateful that happened because it was a really crummy deployment. And because I got bitten, I had to go to the hospital and they kept me overnight. So I got to take my uniform off and they gave me something else to put on. Hey, why don't you take a shower first? You're pretty dirty. Okay. And I got to put on, one of those little things. And my uniform was still dirty, and I got to sleep in a bed with sheets. And as I remember, the nurses were pretty. And I got food. I got good food. And they gave me, wait for it, I got bit by a scorpion and they gave me Benadryl. Orally. I didn't even have to get a shot. I just got a massive dose of Benadryl, like 4 of them, I think. And the swelling in my hand went down. It was most likely a female scorpion, now that I think about it. Yeah, the males, some of the males, the older ones, if they get you, it can kill you. Yeah. All right, well, that's it. You know what we ought to do? We ought to have a little contest of the things that you're grateful for. Just a little exercise. Well, what am I grateful for? Step outside and then step back into your home. Is it warm? Are you grateful? Get your pillow and a sheet and a blanket. Lay it out on the snow and lay down for a little while in your nightie. And then get up and shake it off. Come in the house and get in bed. And think about how grateful you are. Little perspective on things. Skip a few meals. Try that one on for size. Americans don't know about that. But skip 3 meals and see how it feels. Right? Yeah. And see how grateful you'd be when you open your refrigerator and it's like, oh, I've got to throw some of this food away because it's going bad. Most of the world's not like that. They're having a tough time keeping their children fed. We should be absolutely grateful. And, I think that the internet, as good as it can be bad because we're getting inundated with stories that are interesting stories for sure. They're interesting, but they kind of irritate you, kind of make you mad, sort of, about things like the whole, what's going on in, it could be anything. Any show that I do on a Tuesday night, we can correlate it with, what was going on that that time. You take a snapshot of, December 29th. Oh, I know what it is. It's Minnesota. And the Somalians. Oh, look what they're doing. Oh, I hope the governor resigns. It just what? Let's sit around the table and talk about the Somalians in Minnesota and stealing millions of dollars. Yeah, it just irritates you and gets you kind of angry and stuff. Can't do anything about it. That's their problem. I mean, I can be outraged. It's pretty hard for me to find gratitude in a story like that. It's pretty hard. I guess I really could, but I don't think you'd believe me. Well, at least those poor people have something to eat now. I don't think you'd find that I am telling the truth. I could stretch that one, but it isn't true gratitude. No, it's irritating that they're stealing U.S. taxpayer money. But you know what? When they get here, they don't even know how to speak the language, right? It takes a little bit of savvy to rip off the government. You've got to have somebody on the inside that's helping you do it. Now, you got Governor Tampon Tim there, and he's like, oh, we didn't know about this, and so it just irritates you because he's lying, right? And it's hard to say, well, at least Tim's healthy and happy. At least we've got tampons in boys' bathrooms. It's pretty hard to find gratitude in that whole vein of irritation that they keep throwing at us. Like, what was the last thing after that? The thing preceded that. I don't even know. Oh, Charlie Kirk is assassinated, right? And there's just enough nebulousness in the story, like, oh yeah, he stopped the 30-06 round in his neck. And anybody that's ever had exposure to high-powered rifles is like, no, that's not true. Why are you telling us that? And it just irritates you. And oh yeah, and now his wife, she's the grieving widow. That whole shtick. And now you got Candace Owens comes out and says, I think she had something to do with it. Either her or Mossad had something. And so it's just, well, where do you find gratitude in that whole thing? Well, at least she's happy. At least she's found true love. At least the insurance probably paid out. Now, they always throw those stories at you, and it's hard to be grateful for anything that you see there. Anything. It's hard to be grateful. But in our own little world that we create around ourselves, we can create things that we know we'll be grateful for. We can. I can actually tell the future. I can actually create the future. If I cut a bunch of wood with my chainsaw, all that wood that came down off our big tree, I should be like, well, there's my firewood for next year. You should be grateful. You don't have to climb up there and cut it down now, Mark. Yeah, all I have to do is block it up and split it. Now I got firewood. Oh, I'm grateful. Well, then it changes everything. It's like, yeah, that's a couple cords of wood laying on the ground there. And I would have probably never climbed up there and cut those limbs down. It's treacherous to do that. I mean, it's way up there. Big, big tree. So grateful. I'm grateful for all of you that come to this all the time and care about what I have to say. I'm grateful that I'm able to do this. I really am. I'm grateful that I am in this career field, that I feel strongly enough about it, and I'm on an adventure of a lifetime. I know it won't last forever. Nothing does. But for now, it's the adventure of a lifetime, and I get to share it with you, with yous all. Okay, that's it. Hildy says I'm right. Grateful for you. Lassie, I'm grateful to be, by God's grace, to be alive and be nice and warm in hot water heat. Yeah. Draw yourself a bath tonight, Hildy. All right, I'm gonna get going. We have the consulting call tomorrow night, but we're not going to do it because it's New Year's Eve, and I think that if I do it, people are going to feel obligated to come, so we're going to put it off a week. So the notification will go out tomorrow that we're going to put it off a week. I don't think anything's going to be lost by doing that. We are making another push on Tribe Plus. We are going to make another push on Tribe Plus. We'd like to bring more people in, and more of those people come to the consulting call or mentoring call, because it's like that's where the harvest is. That's where the information is passed. So we'd like to make that available to more folks, is what we'd like to do. And it supports this thing. It supports it. I think it's like $14 a month, whatever that comes out to, 49 cents a day or something like that. But if you hired me for consulting, it's far more expensive, but you get the same thing, really. It's just that it's not in person. It's Zoom call. So we get to see each other. We can do diagrams. We can do mapping. We can do lists. Sometimes people run out of questions and we just, shoot the bull, as they say. And we have a good time. I look forward to it every other Wednesday night. So I think it's a good thing. And it does support this operation. I almost want to say like ministry, but that has kind of religious connotations. So I'll just say it supports this operation, which is going to go. We're going to keep doing it regardless. I mean, I've gone back and forth with that a couple of times, but I finally landed where, no, this is important and this is what I'm supposed to do. So I'm going to do it. Okay. I'm going to get going. Remember, in the new year, anyone can farm. Good night.